It's the Paris Chong Show.
Oh, speaking of Mexico, I'm glad I didn't forget. And actually, there's a photo she did that I really, really want, and I'm gonna have one day.
Okay.
Um,
Give it to you.
she had somebody reminded me out here today that you were actually kicked out of Mexico at one point.
I was kicked out of Mexico.
Like, who the hell gets kicked out of Mexico? What did you do?
Me. I
She's
got
like,
kicked
"I
out
did."
of Mexico. So it's such a long story. You know, those stories are really good,
We
but
wanna
they're
hear it.
long and you're, yeah.
We like long, good stories.
Okay. So I'm like, why? So I was showing down in Mexico City with it's this gallery that Damien Hirst actually did a bunch of shows
Okay.
with. And it used to be an Ace gallery. It was like a whole
Uh-oh.
thing. No, but it's a great gallery down there. And the owner of the gallery said he worked with the president of Mexico, and this woman who worked there was like her father was fourth in line to the president of something like that. And so basically they had the federal police at their disposal.
Okay.
And he
Already
said,
sounds scary.
yeah, but I was like 28 years old. It
More
had
scary.
no concept of danger. And they said, look, if you want use of the federal police, they're yours. Like you can go to kind of crazy places in Mexico. So this is around 2005.
Okay.
5-ish.
So
this
someone's
is like
telling you it's 28-year-old
28, 30, I think.
young
I'm dating
white
myself.
girl
Yeah. So
going down to Mexico,
so I'm
and
there,
you can have.
and I'm thinking, okay, well, this is interesting. I fly back to LA, and then I'm mulling it over. Like, okay, this is a great opportunity, and I like to shoot things a little on the edge.
Mhm.
So I fly back to Mexico City, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking you up on the federal police, and just make a list of the most dangerous places you
Oh,
would
God,
never go
girl.
in Mexico City, and I want to do a shoot there. So, which
and
is
get shot
crazy.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like,
I'm like, well, the
I wouldn't
federal
even do
police
that.
will
That's
protect me.
ballsy. I wouldn't
I'm
have the
like,
balls. I would never have the balls.
I'm like, federal police here, guarded protection. So it kind of devolves into I pick the most dangerous place in Mexico City, which is an area called Tepito at the time. And it's the black market.
Which most young American women naturally do.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what it's like now, but this was like the black market of Mexico City.
Okay.
And I had heard a story. I started researching it. This story about like how there was this church in the black market in that like triangle. It's like a Tepito where this priest went AWOL, and he was forgiving the sins of the worst people in Mexico, the criminals and they basically really like the bad guys and really bad
Yeah.
guys. So I was like, that's interesting. There's a church of the criminals. Like, there's a criminal church. Like, that's so mysterious. And I want to get this picture.
It's called the White House.
The way. So I'm like, I need to find this church. So I go to the federal police, these people, and tell them the story. And they're like, yeah, no, we're not going. So forget it. And I'm like, well, no. But no, that's why I'm here. So I get one guy who will do it. And he's like, okay, but we're going to go in and we're going to be in
And his
this
name was Snake.
white van and you're going to duck down and we're going to find
God.
this church you want to find.
The scariest part of this whole story is the white van.
Oh, yeah, it's a white
That's
van.
just.
I know.
Nah.
Serial killer.
I'm scared of white vans forever. I don't know
We all
why.
need to be scared of white vans.
They shouldn't even make them anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Really, all women are terrified of white vans.
They're
just
scary.
So you know.
They're scary.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so we go into the black market, and I do have a translator. I have one friend who's now a really famous painter, actually, in Mexico. But he's my translator, and we go in, we find this church. But on the way in, I'm taking pictures of people. So I'm rolling down a window and sticking my camera out and taking photos here and there. And one photo I took was of a man, and he starts running after the van, and he basically flipped out. Tried to grab my camera.
Mm.
At one point, somebody grabbed me and I got away. So this is all kind of related in this area. It was a really, really unsafe area. I don't recommend going there.
Yeah.
And then, so I got incredible pictures. I'm keeping this much more brief than the actual story, but I got beautiful shots. They're incredible. I go back to my hotel,
Mhm.
and that night I get a knock on the door that is from somebody that worked in the hotel, and he said, "You were shooting in Tepito, and you got a picture of one guy who is the biggest drug dealer in the area, and he goes, you need to leave Mexico City, or you won't be alive to tell this story." And I literally like drove to the airport and left. I'm like, oh my God. But that I still have that picture, and I darkened it because it looks prettier. But if you lighten the picture, if I actually lighten it, he's still in the shot and he's running.
Oh,
Like you can see him grabbing at my camera.
that is
It
terrifying.
was scary.
And yeah, I'm scared to
Sorry.
hear. I'm
Sorry.
sweating even thinking about this.
It's the Paris Chong Show.